The following is a fan-based review and is owned by Toei Inc. and Bandai. We claim no ownership to the material we are discussing and is based on pure opinion.
It's time, people. We're getting into that era which we started to, this is a worldwide thing at this moment.
And now, and also welcome back to the Anger Cast for some of us.
Yes, we're not going to make the comparison. That's going to be an entirely new series of videos that we started now that we've gotten to, the era that might have morphed and started becoming a thing.
Mm-hmm. No, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Why didn't we do that with Black?
Because that's all you need to know.
Got it. They're going to ask, so I thought I'd ask for them.
But yeah.
Maybe one day.
If we're drunk enough.
If we're drunk enough.
Drunk cast. That'd be fun.
We could do that with Dragon Knight. But yeah, welcome to the Angry Tokucast, everybody.
Welcome to the Tokucast.
Hey, welcome back.
This week, on episode 14, we're doing Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger. The most probably well-known worldwide just Sentai, and because of what it became in America. I'm not excited. I'm just already angry.
Aww.
I'm excited. I'm always excited when he's angry because it's so much more entertaining for me.
But getting to, just the bulk of the show. Let's go back a second. We all remember how Jetman was much more
mature
and mature than this.
It almost felt more like a show made for adults than for children.
That's because it basically was. Mm-hmm. But in this case,
they said, fuck that.
Such a giant step back.
This show, from the get-go, you can tell, was aimed at very young children.
Yes. And let's talk about that with the beginning and ending songs. I hated both of them.
I did not.
I hated them so much.
I did not hate either one of these.
They were performed by, I believe it was either Five Red or Red Turbo.
Really?
And yeah, he performed the songs, and it's awful. It's so bad. In comparison, especially to what we got before and what we end up getting after, especially what we end up getting after for the next two.
Check out that top 10 video.
This show is right in between two very, very good opening and ending themes. Mm-hmm. And then we end up getting crap. It's not good.
I didn't hate them.
So meh.
I mean, the first opening theme, it's generic. I didn't hate it. At no point was I skipped it pretty much every time, but if I didn't feel like skipping it, I was like, meh.
It opens with a storybook. And that's
but then we immediately jump cut to an animatronic T-Rex going,
Jurassic Park, eat your heart out.
And more like Carnosaur, eat your heart out.
But we end up getting a book. So the entire theme is based around fantasy.
Yes. I like that.
I don't.
Why not?
Or rather, I would have liked it if it was executed better. Episode 1, the birth, and episode 2, the revival. So we end up going to this guy who's out with his grandson. And then we end up going basically out into space where this...
Space dumpster.
No, it's not a space dumpster.
No, it's a space seal.
Yeah,
magical seal.
It's a magical seal.
Magical jar.
Yeah.
Sure.
And who ends up coming out, but...
That's the other show.
What ends up coming out? Machiko Soga, aka the best part of the show.
Oh my gosh, she made this show for me.
She did.
She may be one of the best Sentai villains we've ever had.
She is.
Because of her performance.
Yeah.
Every scene that Machiko Soga is in, she is just relishing.
She chews the scene so well.
She has just got the scenery.
And it's like...
And just loves what she's doing, and it just makes it so much fun.
In Sun Vulcan. And she was great there.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it's so good seeing her again. I mean, last time we really saw her was that one episode in Live Man where she ends up playing, what's-his-face's mother.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, that wasn't Live Man. That was,
something else.
Masked Man. She ends up playing his mother. She's
played monsters here and there, too.
Yeah.
She was Kate.
This is basically the show that brought her to the forefront. She ends up coming out of this with her minions. Gryffazor.
You mean generals, I guess would be the better term?
More or less, yeah.
They're generals in this case.
Yeah. With Gryffazor, the other two who annoyed me.
Buckback.
Yeah.
And Pulipurikan.
I believe that with their names.
I love that name, Pulipurikan. Because that's how they say it.
And the one who ends up making all of the monsters for them. Mm-hmm. The monsters and the golems and everything like that.
I really like how the monsters were made. I like how they use stop motion.
Yeah.
When they're first being created and then they get bigger. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. So this is just another Sentai so far that is where the villains made it.
Because in this one, it's like they took an entirely new theme. All the other ones before this were basically science fiction. Mm-hmm. And in this one, it was like fantasy and all of the...
Fantasy and magic.
And now I know why you said you were going to bring up Tokucast before we started recording.
That's not the reason either.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Because that show also... This villains also made that show.
But in this one, it's like all of the robots are animals. And last time, like, we just had Live Man they were lion. Well, one was a lion. Everything else.
But they were all built.
Yeah.
They were all man-made. In this one, they are ancient gods. They're guardian beasts.
Yeah, in the birth, we end up going, and Barza is the guy's name. We end up seeing him.
I loved him.
He wasn't bad, but...
He reminded me of Grandpa doing cosplay.
That's
what he reminded me of. He was like somebody's grandpa put on costumes and did a show for children.
That was literally half of his...
I really liked him. He was adorable.
There's so many jokes I want to make, but I have to make them in the other video. So,
but they end up coming out. Barza and the others, and Bandora's out in space and getting everything ready for her. I will mention this because this comes up a lot. She's really powerful. She like sort of wipes the floor with them every single time she has a scene throughout the show.
She first shows up and it's like, let's reenact the opening of Monty Python's The Meaning of Life and just have skyscrapers just sort of move around.
That's basically.
If she's so powerful, then why does this show happen?
Yeah, but she ends up coming out. The first thing she does, because these children are on a space shuttle, and she decides...
Lucky kids! I wish I could go into space when I was that young.
Yeah, she decides to go ahead and shrink it.
And it's for like a class trip or something.
Yeah.
It's like, you have good grades, you're going into space. I got good grades.
Yeah.
I got a pat on the back.
This was what, 91? Oh yeah, 92.
92.
This was 1992. It is now 2016. That is still not a thing.
Yeah. Now, in this, Barza ends up trying to go ahead and stopping her, but he can't do it. So
his idea of going after and stopping her is literally, hey, you get off my lawn, is what his reaction is like. Because he's hobbling around, he's got his big staff, and he's like, Bandora, get out of here! Get off my lawn, you crazy witch!
So he ends up going to decide to bring back the other 5 warriors back from suspended animation. He ends up bringing back 4 of them first. Goshi, who is
the Mammoth Ranger.
Dan, who is Tricera Ranger. Boy, who is why can I not?
Tiger Ranger.
Tiger Ranger. I was like Saber Ranger. I was like, wait, that's wrong. And he ends up bringing back May, who is Terra Ranger. So they end up going to rush into Bandora's headquarters and they end up getting captured. But
not before going through a couple of portals.
Yeah.
That lead to like other.
Now, was this before or after the part where they automatically somehow know what a spaceship is?
That's before.
Well, it's like you have to go save the kids, but then like the next shot, they're immediately on motorcycles.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that while they were in suspended animation, Barza gave them a couple of interesting books.
Yeah.
And they just caught up on everything.
But it's weird because this sets up basically the entire show because it might not seem like it, but this is a very red-focused show.
No, it seems like it.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
It very much seems like it.
Because you gotta remember, like, in Jetman, it was much more of an ensemble show. And it was pretty apparent up to a point with barring, like, Raita
what I think Zyuranger kind of trying to do was make up for it with their, with the ensembleness, is with their abilities and everything. They can't do a finisher without all 5 of them. So in battle, they seem to be more of an ensemble, but in terms of characterization...
In terms of characterizations, they are all archetypes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Archetypes especially in this one, because there's
you have leader, you have strong guy, young one, girl, and then... Girl, and then there.
Yeah.
I wonder who that is.
But the thing is, with this, because like I said, it sets up just... In this first episode, Geki is the one who ends up having to come to save them, because he's the one who took the longest to come out of suspended animation. And that bothered me.
Yes, that bothers me.
You know what didn't bother me, though? Their civilian clothes.
I didn't like them.
I thought they were pretty cool.
It's just... it reminded me a lot of Flash.
I would love to see somebody cosplay these. I love their civilian clothes.
A lot of Flash Man. Because they did the same thing where they never really changed into anything else.
Yeah, they never changed into anything else, but it's, you know, like, these are people who have evolved from dinosaurs, and this is what they naturally wear.
But yeah, it's just like... But in the second episode...
But one thing, people who evolved from dinosaurs... I'm trying to figure out which one came up with this first. This or the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Monkey.
We don't talk about that. But in the second episode, we end up
came out
getting
the same year
to some of the mechs, specifically the Tyrannosaurus mech, who is quite well known, of course. But it's just
Rexy. Wrong show.
It's a definite problem when he's the only one. Because I hate this so much when it's just him.
You hate this, Aisha?
Basically,
haven't gotten there yet.
But it's just like I hate it because it's just him. It's like for the first couple episodes, no one matters, and that's the rest of the show as well, because it's basically just him. Because in that episode, we end up getting all of that. In the third episode, their weapons end up getting broken. They end up having to go get.
Yeah, but I really like how they had to go and actually earn their weapons.
I mean, they did.
That was cool.
Very RPG-esque, in my opinion.
RPG fantasy. There you go.
Yeah, I love their before versions, and Terra has that bow that just looks like I picked it up from the dollar store on the way to the set.
It's a legit toy.
It also looks a little too small for her. She's not that big, and she's like.
I can't do it with this.
No wonder it broke.
Yeah, it literally broke.
But I love that scene where they're training with each other and their weapons all break and they're frick, and they just throw them in this pile of broken weapons.
Oh wow, who would have thought? It's millions of years old. It's not durable anymore.
Yeah, but they had other weapons that they got, and it's like, none of these are working. We're too strong. We keep breaking everything.
And we're too strong.
Here comes ends up being the biggest thing with this show. This show is very child heavy.
Exactly.
I hate that.
And not one child, many, many, many children throughout the course of the series.
Not like Amazon or what we're about to see in Zyuranger or in O-Ranger either. It's just, there's a whole bunch of children and they're basically all awful. There's one exception, and that's only because of something that ends up happening later. But I hate it. So I don't like
that just goes. Series. Well, that's because you hate kids, but
no, it's like I don't hate kids.
He doesn't hate kids. He hates child
actors.
actors.
You do to an extent.
He hates child actors.
It's bad. I mean, it really doesn't help because it's literally all focused on their problems.
Now, to focus on something positive, which I know there is something positive in this show.
The suits?
Yes, the suits.
I love these suits.
And that's not nostalgic about the shoots.
Not just nostalgia.
Hold on, the shoots.
The shoots.
I love everything
parachutes.
Head down about this. But
I
don't like lips.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Right. Well, I mean, and it's not even nostalgia talking. These are just good suits.
They are cool looking suits. There's a lot of color. There's the right balance of white and color in the suits.
Yes.
I like the way the helmets look. Mm-hmm. I don't mind lips. I think they look really good.
And the morphers are definitely different.
The morphers are pretty awesome.
The only ones that we've had like that.
Kind of like very Commander-esque a belt buckle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the only one that we've had like that. And I do like, the way they always end up having them on them. Always right here. And I think that's pretty great. In episode 4, they end up getting their actual weapons. Thank God.
I like that episode.
That was a pretty good episode.
I do like these. I love Sentai like this, and I think this is just nostalgia talking, where they all have their own individual weapons that can combine to make one big weapon.
Mm. Now, here's the one thing about this, because
we
end up getting
also
this...
that could be another top 10.
in Zyuranger as well, where it's like Red is the only one who ends up having his mech for the first...
couple episodes
because it's not until episode 6 where we end up getting to see
at least with this one, it's not that Red's mech could be a mech by himself.
Yeah, it's just the T-Rex.
But
it's a giant robot T-Rex. That's
I was
awesome.
actually more fine with that in Zyuranger because I felt like it was built up a lot better in Zyuranger. And this one, it just felt like, for some reason, even though Daizujin himself is a literal being by himself, he's he's
an ancient god.
Yeah, he's an ancient god, but it's just like, why were not all of them appeared at the same time? I don't understand why Red ended up having to get his first. It doesn't work as well in the show as it does in Zyuranger.
Yeah, and this is also one of the few, to keep talking about the Zords for a minute, this is also one of the few Sentais where it has more than one form. It has a tank form and the robot form. They don't really use the tank form that often.
I mean, Jetman does as well.
I'm just saying.
It had Phoenix and then it had.
I'm not saying it was the first. I'm just saying it's one of the few.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it was the first. And I think it was definitely interesting to turn a bunch of prehistoric creatures into a literal tank and then turning it into a robot. I thought that was very clever and well done. Even though there's always that one piece, and it's usually, and in this case it's kind of pink, that just kind of serves no purpose to it in the tank versions. I'm on the back.
She's basically Opera Yellow all over again. Well, she's Opera Yellow first.
Yeah, but I mean, it serves more of a purpose with when it goes to the actual robot form, where she's at the literal chest.
Yeah.
But
now, nothing ends up happening until episode 17. Because it's just child actor after child actor after child actor up until that point.
And that's just because it's a very kid-friendly show, this one. And they wanted to... It's like, hey, here's target audience. Look, kids.
Yeah, they were going for their target audience.
They were going back to a target audience.
You can't really blame them for that.
I mean, you can, because Jetman was great.
Yeah, but...
Now, not to their target audience.
Getting into episode 17, the sixth hero.
Yep.
This is the biggest, like, one of the other biggest things that we've had.
This is a first for Sentai.
Well, it's a third, but it's a first where it's continuous.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because, we had the Warrior and the Magna Warrior and Bioman. We had X1 Mask and Mask Man. Right. But in this one, the sixth hero, we end up getting an actual another Zyuranger and Burai. And of course, we do know his actor. He originally played Pegasus in Changeman.
Oh.
No horse. Cool. But yes, he ends up coming out. He's extreme. Oh, let's talk about how they end up getting him, because there was another character that came in earlier. His name was Gnome. He's an old man. He's like an old magical person. His grandson apparently knew Burai like way back when. And the name of the character, the Sixth Ranger, Dragon Ranger, is Burai. But this guy is like, we had to go ahead and awaken Burai. And the thing that Barza and Gnome end up trying to do, they come out with a whole bunch of machine guns and grenades, and they constantly try to kill this kid. And I'm just like,
damn.
So this is a kid show, right? They were literally trying to constantly kill this kid. Yeah. I was so confused, but I loved it because it was the most...
Because they tried to kill
I love they open it up, and it's like a freaking... Monty Python sketch with or Benny Hill or something where like everything is just like trying to kill him. Oh, you know what it reminded me of? Mystery Science Theater. This is a song played for the Zyurangers. He's running away.
It's legitimately insane.
Tried to kill him with a forklift. Olé!
It's legitimately insane, and I just love it how it doesn't make sense.
This video is getting taken down.
Yeah,
that's not a copyrighted thing.
It legitimately doesn't make any sense.
Watch them try.
And I just love how insane and inane, like how none of it really pulls together, because they try to kill his grandson. Well, first of all, and I'm just like, are you real?
They're real.
Real dumb.
Try to kill him with a forklift. It was real.
But yeah, it's like, and the Zyurangers constantly trying to stop them, and then the kid ends up going to where Burai is being held underground, and he ends up unleashing him, and Burai comes out angry as all seven hells.
All seven of them.
And he ends up trying to kill...
now.
He ends up trying to kill the Zyurangers, including his brother.
I'm sorry, when he first meets the Zyurangers, it's probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a Sentai. He jumps up on top of Daizujin, and he's just like... And he gets into the mech, like he just sort of disappears into it. But then he opens the door and he just goes, F you! And he just starts beating everyone up.
Like, that's the first I've ever seen anything like that happen. I don't think we've really seen anything like that happen since.
It's so funny. I just love the way he like kicks the door open inside of Daijujin and he's like, hey, F you! And he just starts punching everyone, and it's great.
I
thought it was so funny.
But yeah, he's mad at his brother, Geki, because...
who we just now learn is his older brother.
Because they're half-brothers.
No, because they can't have one cool plotline without it somehow being related to Red.
It's true. That's legitimately
fair
sad.
enough.
But yeah, because...
We have Barza, it's time to know. He is actually your older brother.
God damn it.
You were given to the king because he and his wife couldn't have kids, and...
Then they had him.
No, they gave him... Geki and Burai's parents gave... Geki to the king and the queen, and then Geki and Burai's real father tried to kill the king, and the king killed him.
As one would do.
And then Burai saw it happen, and ever since then he's been vengeance.
Yes,
I will have vengeance.
No, he reminds me of
what?
The Quantum Ranger from Time Force.
We got a little while before we get.
I know, but I'm just saying, like that kind of personality.
Because it's Time Ranger in that case, because their personalities are the exact same thing.
You know what I mean?
But
we haven't gotten
this one,
Time Ranger yet.
Bandora ends up getting like Burai on her side because they both end up hating the Zyurangers, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And Burai doesn't really like being around them because he considers them all idiots.
Yes, and rightfully so.
Yes,
because they are idiots.
They really are.
Yeah.
But Bandora ends up giving him the Hellfried sword, which is it's sort of cool. He ends
Which
up
is a
using
cool looking
that.
blade.
Yeah. And an episode, because this is a pretty big arc when Burai ends up coming back, because in episode 19 they end up introducing Lammy, who's been encased in a boulder. She ends up escaping when Bandora and the others were originally put into the magical urn, and she's like encased in a boulder. She's just been rolling around, and she ends up coming back in this episode because the dinosaur...
A boulder that occasionally pulsates and is covered in scorpions.
Yeah, it's weird. But apparently she's...
They don't talk about it.
She's Gryffindor's wife.
Which made me laugh.
Yeah. It was a weird thing.
I thought it was great.
But yeah, she ends up coming back. I thought her character was fine. There's really nothing wrong with her.
She was hot chick bad guy du jour.
Yeah, I ended up having a problem with
Yeah.
it. She's not like Malshina from is it Malshina from
Akiba
Gingaman?
Ranger?
No, well, yeah, her too. But the one in Gingaman that she's based off of, whose name I can't remember. But when we get to Gingaman, you'll see who I mean.
No, I know who you mean.
Yeah,
I know exactly who you mean.
She's just wearing lingerie. But yeah, Lammy ends up coming back. And in episode 20 is Daijujin's last day, where Daijujin, like the Zyurangers end up going out. They end up because Bandora has attacked. She ends up sending out Gryffindor, Lammy, and Dragon Ranger as a beefed up, really king size Dragon Ranger.
She makes him grow as big as Daijujin.
And they end up
Why
defeating
didn't you
Daijujin.
just do that earlier?
Seriously, though.
She ends up defeating Daijujin, and I was
And the one issue with this villain is that I think she forgets that she can do a lot of things.
yeah.
I can move skyscrapers. Shit, why didn't I do that again?
Yeah, and she does it again towards the end of the series, so you're just like, I'm really confused. Now, in episode 21...
Because she's a silly witch.
In episode 21, we end
up
up getting introduced to another Guardian Beast, Dragon Caesar.
I love this thing.
It is pretty...
Looks so awesome.
It's Godzilla.
It is Godzilla. The opening, when you first... Not the opening, but when you first see it, and they're at the docks... People are working at the docks, and all of a sudden the water starts to bubble. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I'm just going, "Oh boy!"
It's
dun 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 dun. Yes, it's Godzilla.
Dun 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 dun.
Now, the whole way that he ends up getting I love how that song is still a thing. Mm-hmm. But
even in Kyoryu, that song is still a thing.
it is
for a little bit, but
it's a remix.
Yeah, but it was still pretty cool.
Oh god, got me right.
Was it with a trumpet?
No, it was Death Ryuger.
Yeah, I know.
He had a boomerang that he could straighten out into a sword, and then he played it like a flute still.
That's right.
And it was just...
Now, getting back to this.
Sorry.
In episode 21, Burai ends up turning on Bandora, and Bandora is just like, "You are hilarious and so cute." So she ends up blasting him back down to earth.
Oh, you think you're cute.
And so while Burai is basically, in shock that he just lost that battle to Bandora, who he thought was basically an idiot, because she's an idiot, but she's a powerful idiot.
Yeah.
That's the problem. She's a powerful idiot.
And then a mysterious girl in a cape
Donald
ends
Trump.
up taking him into the lapsless room. And the whole thing about that, it's really weird how this ends up happening, because Clotho ends up coming out of basically literally nowhere and ruins him. And she tells him that Burai's remaining time at this moment is only about 30 hours, and she disappears after giving him the Zu Sosuke. And that ends up, letting him summon Dragon Caesar. Mm-hmm. It's pretty great, because this first episode is just like, Dragon Caesar ends up literally going and destroying most of the city by himself.
Yes.
And
it really felt like a Godzilla movie.
It literally felt like a Godzilla movie.
Because there's people running in the streets. You actually see people in danger. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these shows, especially newer ones, they're like blowing up all these cardboard buildings, but you don't feel like anyone's in danger because you never see anyone running.
Also, can we just talk about how Drago Ranger's costume is like the best?
I love it
so much. I love
the
shield.
It's
the shield's
awesome.
the best part.
I love it.
It's not even just the shield. He's got extra armbands.
It looks pretty awesome.
It's...
Now... In episode, before we even get into episode 22, because at this point, Geki has been really reluctant about fighting his brother.
Mm-hmm. Gee, I wonder why.
And in episode 21 and 22, he finally gets, that confidence to go ahead, I had to stop this guy. In episode 22, he ends up doing so. And here ends up coming, the biggest problem I have with this show. One of them, anyway.
Really?
Burai ends up turning over a new leaf so quickly. Geki beats him, and that's it. And he's just suddenly on the Zyuranger side. That was the worst pacing I have seen, because it doesn't feel like a real redemption story. It's like he just beat them and like, that's it, I'm solely on your side. It's like there has to be like, this isn't what I mean, but like Akira and Tokucast took a while to like actually get them to their side. He felt really guilty about a lot of the things before. Burai doesn't.
Sorry.
And
so that's why we're bringing Tokucast.
Nope, that's not it.
You just brought it up!
No. But
never mind.
That's like the most, well, in Time Ranger too, because it's like it's a little while. He's never really on their side for like Time Fighter's never really on their side for a good while. Yeah. There's like this has to be this old redemption arc. In this one, it's literally that he beats him.
It's like Anakin Skywalker becoming evil.
Yeah, it's like it just happens.
I'm gonna take your win. No, don't do that. Okay, Rawr!
But it's too fast, and that bothers me so much. It's so quick how that just ends up happening. Now, in episode 28, Bandora ends up getting a new style of clay. And she ends up making much stronger monsters. The first one is a Frankenstein monster. It looks awful because it's just a guy in some makeup.
It's not the first time we've had to deal with that in the Sentai.
I know, but it's like this.
It's not the first, nor will it be the last time we have terrible monsters.
Yeah, that was just one of the bad ones. But it's like, so Burai and Geki end up going, and they end up going to some other place to get an upgraded weapon, the Thunder Slingers. But there, they end up seeing that there is another guardian beast, King Brachion, who's basically been guarding these things. He's our first type. Well, I guess Titanosaurus is. I mean, it's a Brachiosaurus, but I think how big he is, he's a Titanosaurus. No, he ends up being like the first.
Same like subspecies though.
Yeah, it's like because we end up getting, as we said before, the
long neck.
The Brachiosaurus is almost a constant thing for every dinosaur Sentai, but this is the first one where it's a character.
Technically, the Brachiosaurus not a real dinosaur.
Yeah, it is. You're thinking of the Brontosaurus.
Yes, I am. My apologies.
But it's a carrier because it's really big, and that's going to be a thing in Abba Ranger all the way up to Kyoryu. But they end up coming back after they end up getting the Thunder Slingers. They end up being able to beat the Frankenstein monster. Then it ends up growing into another type of monster. It's basically an upgrade. And then in this episode, they end up starting. Well, they mentioned it before, but they ended up talking about Dai Satan, who's the person, or I guess the entity, who ended up giving Bandora her powers. And it's fine. I love the way they end up making, like, Dai Satan ends up coming in, and he ends up bestowing power onto this monster. And it is like the weirdest and most gross thing I've seen in a while, because he ends up bursting out with a new, like, the head splits in half. It burst out with a new head.
Some Kamen Rider stuff going on.
Yeah, it's like it burst out with a new head just covered in slime and everything, and I was like, that's gross. But it's cool. It's pretty brutal. I wasn't, like, because this show sort of ends up going back and forth between being extremely kid-friendly or they just end up going something with really brutal like this. So I wasn't expecting that. But in this episode as well, this is episode 30 and episode 31, he ends up, the Zyurangers end up calling out King Brachion for the first time, but they end up combining with him into Ultimate Daisugen.
And it looks pretty cool.
In earlier episodes, Goraijin, the episode that Burai ends up getting onto their team, Goraijin ends up becoming a thing. Let's talk about that really quickly, because I think it's really weird how Pink and Red just aren't a part of that combination, like, at all. Especially Pink, at least.
Well, I mean, what would you put? Where would you put her?
I know, but it's just like...
She'd be the hat.
She'd be the hat. But it's really weird how Pink... Because it's usually, like, especially in Zyuranger, where it's everyone else who ends up becoming a part of the new mech. But in this one, it's just Pink is, for some reason, left out. And I don't fully understand as to why. But, I mean, I guess that's just, a thing. Burai's time has been constantly going down because of a candle that his powers are attached to. After Clotho put him into...
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. After Clotho put him into the Lapsus room, his time, like, as I said, he had 30 hours to start with, but it's constantly been going down.
Every time he leaves the room, the candle burns out.
So, he's been going out a lot, and his time has been burning down. I will mention this because there's an episode called Live Burai. It's episode 34, where they... he ends up going out to try to save his remaining life energy, and he ends up meeting these two sisters. And these two sisters, because Bandora knows that his time is running out, so she ends up capturing the two sisters to really start burning off a lot more of his time that he has left. Really ingenious plan, because Bandora seems to be a lot more one step ahead a lot of the time. I don't really expect that often, but she's she has a lot of contingency plans for things. Like, she gets rid of Burai pretty effectively throughout the run of this show. That ends up happening in episode 34. Now, episode 39 is the episode I was talking about earlier. It's the Subterranean Beast Tears. And I end up bringing up Tokucast because in this episode...
there we go.
The boy who is, like, the friend of the monster is Akira. That's his actor.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
That's Tokiyu Rokugo as a child.
Cool.
I was like, I didn't expect that, but okay. I get that.
No wonder he's so guilty. He was a child actor.
Yeah, he's always so guilty.
Yeah, he made up for it.
He brought rainy days.
Now, you know what? I'm going to wait until we get to the characters for that. Yeah. Now, in episode 40, we end up getting into a 3-parter for the end of Burai, where episode 40 ends up becoming a clip show. But it starts off with Burai in a dream, and he's being pulled in a... What is the name of those... The riding things that I can't remember the name of them, where the people are running in front and they're carrying the people inside the cart.
Oh. I know what you're talking about. I don't know what they're called.
Rickshaws?
Yes, the rickshaws. He's being carried basically in a rickshaw by a Grim Reaper. He doesn't know why, but he's like, the Grim Reaper's like, I'm taking you to the land of the dead. And he's like, I'm not ready for this. So he ends up waking up. He ends up having a dream about a boy who's apparently supposed to be sick, but he's not sick until later on in the show. In episode 41, Burai basically... Episode 41 and 42 is Blaze Burai, and Burai dies. Bandora basically ends up destroying the Lapsus room.
Right.
And Burai tries to fight her, but Bandora's like, I'm magic. So she ends up beating the crap out of him.
And you want him to be magic in this case.
Yes, but she ends up destroying the Lapsus room. Clotho just goes out and tells... the Zyurangers that, the Lapsus room has been destroyed. He doesn't have any time left. And then in episode 42, I love how they sort of ramp up the tension a little bit in this episode because they end up having Barza look up some way to have Burai's life either extended or just, get away from the candles problem. And then throughout this one, they end up sending Dan and Goshi to to wherever the fountain of life is, and they end up trying to go get the thing. They end up getting it, but by the time they end up getting back, Burai's dead. Like, Burai legitimately...
His time is up.
Yeah, his time is up. He ends up passing on his powers, the shield and the extra armbands to Geki. And,
which also looks cool on him.
Yeah, it's a pretty good... I think it's one of the highlights of this show, because that was a really good episode.
You really do not sound like you hate this show so far.
I will explain why we end up getting more towards the end. But I do like
Well, then let's get towards the end.
Yeah, because we're getting there.
No. Let's get towards the end.
And episode, I will mention this.
No, we've said enough about that.
Well, yeah.
Let's get towards the end.
Episode 43. There's one scene that bothered the hell out of me.
What is that?
Because the episode starts off with Dragon Caesar going and finding a monster. They end up defeating the monster. But then Dragon Caesar ends up leaving after everybody else is a dick, saying that their guardian beast is like the best one, and then Dragon Caesar's like, I have no one. And I was like, wow, I feel really sorry for you right now. And then he ends up going on he ends up seeing Burai, like Dragon Caesar ends up seeing Burai playing the flute, and then it goes below a hill and it comes up and it's Geki. And Geki ends up going up to him and is like, forget about Burai, you're my partner now. And Dragon Caesar just looks at him with his mouth open. And I was sitting here just like, you are a literal piece of shit, Geki. You are a literal piece of shit. There's no hope for you.
It was during one of the earlier arcs where Dragon Caesar is first introduced. Geki commands him to go do something, and Dragon Caesar kind of goes, okay. You can see the wheels turning in his head of like, well, if you say so.
That's something that they really like, because they give really Dragon Caesar the most personality out of all of them. And it's not until Abba Ranger where we end up getting to see like the actual Zords, or I guess Max.
Or they can talk.
Yeah, like they can actually talk, and it's there are other characters. But Dragon Caesar has a lot of personality just in his movements. Yeah, that episode is just like you're the worst, Geki. Because a lot of this, whenever, especially earlier on in the show, after they get Burai, he loves to call out for his brother and sound like a whiny bitch so much, and it's awful. awful. He just sounds like he literally sounds whiny. But in from episode 47 to 48, we end up getting the last couple of things that really make this show. We end up getting introduced to Kai, who turns out to be Bandora's son. I love.
And she hates children so much.
Yeah.
Like you, and yet she has.
We end up getting a backstory as to why for this case, though, because I love how she first meets him, and he just like appears behind him, and she goes like grab him or something. He like jumps behind her, and all he says is "Mama." Mama. And she just could not handle it, so she faints because her son died. He was a little asshole and decided to crack open some dinosaur eggs before they were ready to hatch. And the dinosaurs basically end up running him off a cliff. And Bandora ends up pledging revenge against the dinosaurs thanks to Dai Satan's power. And I'm like, I understand that you didn't get the entire thing, but your son was a literal asshole for what he did to them, so he sort of deserved everything that came to him at the end of this show. He ends up capturing some kids after fighting off Geki and Mei, and ends up beating them pretty badly, and he ends up having his own mech. By this point, Great Satan has sort of ended up coming back to the planet after being blown away by Ultimate Zyuranger the first time he showed up. But in this episode, it's like the weirdest thing because he ends up transforming into like this tech outfit.
Yeah.
They end up going into the mech, and they Dortalis, and they end up beating Daijujin and the rest of the mechs at basically the same time.
Again.
Yeah. He ends
for
up
like the third time in this series.
Yeah, he ends up chopping off Daijujin's one of his arms. So I thought that was pretty great. But yeah, and then they end up coming back. They go down to where Bandora is keeping the the mechs and everything. They end up getting them back. They come back and beat Dortalis the first time. And then one more time, because Dai Satan has decided to go ahead and sort of inhabit Dortalis along with Kai. Because Bandora has sort of wanted Kai to re-becoming her son, but he's told her that I am now a child of Satan because he's the one who brought me back. And everybody's like, devil child. And I'm just like, yes. But they end up beating Dortalis at the very end. They blow up Kai at the same time, and Bandora starts shedding tears. In a very good scene, by the way.
One of the scene's highlights.
She acted her ass off in that.
For this whole show, she did.
But it's like
she's
in that
one
scene,
of the best parts about the show.
When she started crying over her son after the Zyurangers had gotten to her base after she brought it down to Earth. And then she like sheds a tear, and that sort of breaks Dai Satan's hold over her. And that ends up, bringing out that she no longer ends up having any powers. Because according to Daijujin, if you end up shedding any tears at all, you're no longer, able to wield the power that he gave you. So she
uses her magic.
Yeah, so she ends up getting banished along with everybody else. She ends up getting banished along with everybody else back to another urn, and Lammy and Gryffindor end up giving birth to a human baby.
Why not?
And that's the end of the show.
At this point, who knows?
Yes, and that's the end of the show. And then at the very end, we end up getting a preview for a much better show. I don't like this show.
Do tell why.
There are so many, the characters, they're really bland. I don't mind it when a villain is a good character, like Changeman or something like that. But it's like when the villain is basically what I want to be the main character, that's a problem. Because everybody else is so bland. I hate the fact because in basically every other Sentai show, unless they really deserve it, everybody else ends up dying. Like all the villains and everything, they end up they should have been killing Gryffindor and Lammy and the other two, and at least the base should have been blown up, and maybe Bandora would have gotten away.
No, but everyone lives,
and that bothers me because they did some things that are pretty irredeemable throughout the rest of the show. It's
like murder lots and lots of people.
I'm saying why are you not dead? Please explain to me why you did not kill off these characters when they should have died.
Because the show ends for them on a pretty happy note.
And that bothers me.
It ends for them, Bandora's singing her song and their prison has a fireplace.
Yeah.
And it looks like they can just conjure whatever they want from inside there. And What's-His-Face can build a crib and pretty much anything they need.
It's like they ended.
So he basically exiled them to a nice condo for the rest of eternity.
And it's like that just bothers me so much because these villains are literally irredeemable. They should have died horribly. Or at least by the Zyurangers with their combined weapons and things like that, like most other Sentai would end up doing.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least like in a one-on-one fight, like with Gray and Guy and Jetman.
Yeah.
But instead, we end up getting this piece of crap. Let's get to these characters.
What about him?
Geki. Annoying.
The leader.
The worst. Nissan, just... he's honestly the worst. I didn't like anything about him, and that bothers me so much. Goshi ends up being a better character.
The strong one.
Yeah, he ends up being... Like, there's this one episode where... I think it was like Dora Narcissus, and Goshi, like, for some reason, Geki can't chop it down because Narcissus can't grant life to basically anything, and that's how Bandora ends up tricking him. And Goshi is like, the fuck are you doing? And just, like, goes out and he ends up ambushing his fight between Dora Narcissus and Geki, and basically ends up taking off his the Dino Buckler off of him, and they end up fighting, and Goshi basically could just beat him by himself if it wasn't for Dora Narcissus. But it's not shown throughout the rest of the show how competent Goshi is. He always ends up seeming like just... It seems like he should have been the leader, and Geki shouldn't have. And that's sort of an annoyance with me. I don't mind it if, someone else is supposed to be the leader, like Geki, but it's just, Geki just seemed like so weak in comparison. And that sort of bothers me a little bit. Let's talk about Dan. I hate his character. He's the one that always ends up going out to chase girls, but not in a charming way like Joe from Live Man or Guy from Jetman. He's just annoying with it because he's just way too young.
He's the young one.
He's one of the young ones. As we just saw him do.
I thought he was the young one. I thought Yellow was the there one.
Same thing, basically. But as we literally just saw his actor do one show ago in Jetman when he was all over Akko the entire time for the couple episodes before he died. Dan existed. He was sort of the ninja of the team. As they sort of been giving to the Yellow after Yellow Mask was a thing, they sort of been giving that to the Yellow a little bit. May
was the girl.
She was the girl. Now, we know what their actors are doing because we see them at, like, Power Morphicon. We end up seeing them have, like, with, like, Taryn Ashley, she, the Aisha, she had a panel with them at Power Morphicon a couple years ago where she ended up talking to May's actress, Dan's
Reiko
actress,
Chiba,
and
Yoshi's Fujiwara.
And yeah, she ends up talking to all of them. And, we end up seeing, because the actor ends up playing Geki, he ends up coming back a lot as well. He had the whole thing
with
Austin
back
St.
for
John.
For the Kyoryu Go-Busters movie.
He was at a panel with Austin St. John not too long ago where they voted their Morris and both of the coins flipped out of the
Did they really?
Too much force.
Like, both of them. And, like, we didn't expect it, but it was great.
That's pretty funny.
But, yeah, it's like, their actors in show weren't interesting. Burai...
You mean the characters in show?
That too.
The characters were bland, but I thought the actors were fine.
Burai was fine.
They did what they could. They did what they could with what they were given.
Yeah. Burai was fine.
Which is something of a running theme in Tokusatsu.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really depends on what the show.
You do what you can with what you're given.
Burai was the best out of the Zyurangers. He seemed to have a lot more personality with his own character. That's not really saying much, but you know what he did. Which Bandora, best character.
Yeah.
She was great.
She was excellent.
This show is not good. And it's mostly because of the fact of what it comes between.
But it's still watchable.
It's watchable.
It's not watchable.
It is watchable.
It's
to
so
him,
bad.
It's not.
It's so bad. It's like, if you're going to end up watching something, go watch Jetman and skip this and go straight to Zyuranger.
I would not say skip this.
I'd say if you want to give it a shot, go ahead. I didn't hate this show.
Because it's still the first dinosaur-themed Sentai, and it started so much.
The action scenes aren't bad. The costumes are cool.
It is the beginning of so many traditions in Sentai.
It's the beginning of one tradition in Sentai.
It is the beginning of so many important traditions in Sentai.
One important tradition in Sentai.
Many things we would see carry
Combining
over to
weapons
Power Rangers.
and a Sixth Ranger.
They combined weapons in Live Man too.
Not to this extent, because there was but it was never a thing. It made it a tradition, in my opinion at least. But we will leave it up to the audience. That is our review of.
I don't like the show. I do not like it at all.
Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger.
On the plus side, in 2 weeks we're back to Kamen Rider because we're doing Kamen Rider ZO and J. And then a month from now, we're doing a much better, very amazing show in Gosei Sentai Zyuranger. And I'm so excited.
We're all excited for that one.
We are all excited for this one. But as always, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.